Well, Summit Disciples, here we are, 1 week from the Summit Youth Academy and entering into our last Bible study before we meet together face to face. This week I want to invite you to do something that maybe you haven't done for a long time. Maybe it's been since you were a little kid in VBS or Sunday school, or maybe it's a practice you still do regularly, but I'm inviting you this week to memorize Scripture. I want to invite you to memorize 1 Timothy 4:12. Do not let anyone look down on you because you are young, but set an example for the believers in speech, conduct, faith, love, and purity. This is such an encouraging passage for young people. And one of the things that I think is so encouraging about it is this passage of Scripture was written from Paul to Timothy. And Paul was a mentor to Timothy, so he was encouraging and guiding Timothy on what it looked like for Timothy to answer God's calling on his life. Can you imagine being discipled and mentored by one of the church's greatest leaders in all of history? Wow, what a relationship Paul and Timothy must have had. I think it's really important for us to take just a moment and to focus on the second part of the passage. So the first part of the passage is a pretty good passage that we could really get defensive about if we wanted. In a moment we could say, don't look down on me because I am young. Or we could say, as adults, we hear adults say things like, well, I'm your elder, or I'm your parent, or I'm the adult in this situation. And in essence, they're saying the same kind of thing. Don't treat me differently because of my age. But Paul goes on to Timothy, and it's not just enough for Paul to say to Timothy, don't let anyone look down on you because you're young. No, he goes on to say, set an example for all the believers. Set an example for all of the believers. So it's not just a matter of people not looking down on you because you're young, but it is also in your youth being an example to others. Be an example of God's love. Be an example of a person filled with faith. Be an example by living a pure and holy life. Be an example by speaking words that bring life and joy to others. Be an example in your conduct. Make choices about your behavior that glorifies God and points people to Jesus Christ. Now, that is a calling that requires more than just waking up and making a decision. It's a decision, it's a calling that requires us to really dig into our relationship with God. And that's exactly what we've been doing over the past 6 weeks. I've been inviting you in various ways to dig into the spiritual disciplines, to practice contemplation through reflective silence. I've invited you to read the Scripture and to take time to pray and journal and to participate in ways that you can be present in God's nature. Growing in our faith doesn't just happen. It's something that requires diligence on our behalf. And when we meet together next week, we're going to spend time together digging into the spiritual disciplines. I can't wait for next week. I can't wait to see you. And just like it has been for the weeks and weeks leading up to the summit, I am praying for you every day and praying that you will be ready and prepared for all that God has for us next week. Have a great week, and I'll see you Sunday at Cole Hall at Southwestern College.